So I've got some special material here from Germany. It's called Adamantan 003. It's a stainless steel mesh, woven steel. There's no other material in there than the steel. So it's incredibly strong, and it's difficult to work with. It's not really meant to be like a fabric, as in to make clothes. It's meant to be put in walls or up against walls and then plastered or wallpapered over it. And it's a shielding material that is extremely fine. I don't know how well it will show. Yeah, it can't really probably zoom in there. It's just a selfie cam, but you can see it's really fine. There's other people like Aster and Agnes Forret from Rosalito and Torito from Spain, who have worked with this material, and they put me onto it. I really like it. It's quite amazing because it's a lot stronger than like the silver mesh that wears out, because when you move it, when you wear it as a veil, it'll just flake off after a while. It can take a couple of months, but this is a lot tougher. It can't be used for clothing because Torito made a beautiful suit out of this. He had the same idea. He thought, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be my super material that will just shield off any RF, and you can wear any other kind of clothing under it, and it's breathable, and it will be amazing. But what turned out is that the places where there's a lot of rubbing, like the trousers, places where it just gets bent over and over and over again, that will break the stainless steel. It's strong, it's tough, and it's bouncy, it's flexible, but I don't really know how much you can get away with. Normally I don't wear sunglasses, but here in the sun, this stuff is bright. It reflects a lot, so I couldn't really work with it. If you're going to do something with it, just be aware that it's incredibly slippery. It's really hard to keep it in control. It just slips and slides all over the place. So what I've been doing is I use this tape, which I got off AliExpress. It is a nickel copper tape with a little bit of sticky backing. I stick it onto the material, and if I've got like two pieces, I'll just fold it over. Just put metal on one side and the other metal on the other side, fold it over, or have it when it needs to come in, stick it on one side and then stick it over while folding it. So I use it, this is 1 centimeter, so I use about a half a centimeter, 5 millimeters, as this sewing aid. Not only is it the sewing aid, it's the stickiness will also help to keep it in place, and I will actually go over it with a second stitch, like I've done here. And that seems to be really holding it very nicely. It gives it strength and makes it a lot more handleable, because while I use the sewing machine, this is a mechanical sewing machine with a treadle, so a foot pedal. So while I'm foot pedaling, I gotta have my hands and I gotta keep this out, and it's all slipping and sliding all over the place. It's one of those things that look a lot easier when somebody else does it, but once you're doing it, it's kind of like, holy, okay. So I don't know, it's a cool material. There's some drawbacks to it. Some people say that it doesn't shield enough. Like Agnes from France has, Rosalito has said that it doesn't really block enough. That when she wears it into high radiation areas, it doesn't feel good. But I want to try to make a big canopy, reasonably low. It's only 1 meter something wide, so it's going to be a low canopy. But I want to be able to be out here in nature, in the grass, and be out and get a lot of sun without being radiated. So I'm making this for, let's say, reasonably low radiation areas. And I'm also curious if this will make a difference being outside, if there is a difference for experiencing anything from Starlink, because I use Starlink, so it is reasonable to think that even though it's about 200 meters away, there might be some spill off coming from the satellite beaming back to the dish. I don't know how big the ray is that beams back and how strong it is. I haven't found anywhere online any kind of estimation. I've tried large language models, and there's, if I feed it, the question, it will give me anything between 3 to 1,000 microwatts per square meter, which I think is extremely high. But 3 would still be very high, and it would explain why in the last couple of years I find it harder to be outside for longer durations. I don't know if it has to do with the satellites or my deteriorating health or increasing sensitivity to this toxic radiation, or if there is indeed an increased constant downpour from the Starlink satellites. In a way, it will be interesting to switch off the satellite for a day and then see if I feel better. But the tricky thing about doing these kind of subjective measurements of do I feel better on a certain day, it can be anything. Like I would also have to control the food that I eat and just how did I sleep, even though I was on a pillow, because all these factors can make it worse or better for me on a particular day. I mean, overall, I do experience that when I'm radiated, it is a lot worse, and so it's quite noticeable. But when we start to get into this very subtle domain of is the satellite affecting you, it's hard to say, because it is already really low here, but it's not that low. It's like 000 on the safe and sound, but it can still go up to about 50 to 150 point 150, so 150 nanowatts per square meter, and that is still quite considerable. I think it is noticeable as if you compare it to an area where there's really nothing, where there's just a hiss and you barely have an AM radio, and then who knows how much do you still get from there. Anyway, that was a little bit of a digression. That's why I'm making this thing. I want to sew it together, and I'm using the mechanical sewing machine because I cannot deal with electrical sewing machines. I can work maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I'm just getting quite ill from it. And often I have to recover for a full day from it, so it's not really worth it. I'm so happy that I can just use this machine, which is already 75 years old, and it still works brilliantly. If you are struggling with EMF and you need to make clothes, find one of these. I paid $150 for it in New Zealand. It's like 75 euros. Wow. These were really expensive back in the day. They were like, a month's salary kind of expensive. And the stitches are absolutely beautiful. So I think you would enjoy having a machine like that. I'm just going to try to complete this. even though some people say that it doesn't shield as great as, for example, the Swiss Shield or the Y Shield, I think the benefits of having a tough material that doesn't snag, doesn't get easily ripped and damaged, and can be used for outdoor. I think this is going to be a huge improvement. I wouldn't want to try this with you know, with the synthetic ones from AliExpress with silver. They would get caught on things and get damaged. That just wouldn't be worth the material. It's been taking me quite a while because it's not stretchy, but it does, because it's a square lattice, it sort of very easily can deform in different directions. So, you know, it's very hard to know if you're actually aligned straight. So that's why the sewing is also quite difficult. Here I accidentally cut into the material, so I patched it with tape on one side, tape on the other side, and then stitched it. I just want to see if that's a good way of doing it. Yeah, the only other thing that you would have to take in consideration is it is stainless steel, so you might have a nickel allergy, and then your skin could react badly to this. And I don't know if me touching this a lot, maybe I could develop a nickel allergy. I don't know how that works, so probably not such a great idea that I'm doing it like this. And for that reason, I also don't think it is that great to have on your body, especially if you've got sweat and absorbance, because all these things do emanate stuff. Even though it's steel, you would think it does nothing, but if you've got a steel cooking pot, it still leaches into your food. And it's very counterintuitive because it's such a hard material. You would think it does nothing like that, but you know, you have to be careful with this kind of stuff. All stuff that is man-made, you have to be aware that if you're exposed to it for a longer time, that it could affect you. But you know, we try, and yeah, I'll keep you I'll keep you posted. I can't even find the beginning of it. Like, yeah, I have some puzzling to do. It's very yeah. Did I mention it's very slippery? It's very slippery. It just slides over the table. It just goes floop, goes over one side, goes over the other side, and even though it's quite light, it's still metal, and it pulls. So while you're trying to sew and to keep it on a straight edge, yeah, it's tricky to work with. I made for a friend a head veil, and she said it worked really well. So I might make more, but yeah, I'd rather that people make it themselves, because I'm not going to do this commercially. Kudos and respect to all the workers, especially in China and in India and Bangladesh and Africa, where they still make materials, and especially if they work with undergarments and that kind of stuff. Oh my God. Yeah. It's quite a skill to work that way. I think we should do more of this kind of work ourselves, by the way, because you get a deeper respect and appreciation for all that stuff that can be bought, and maybe you wouldn't buy as much Temu crap. You know. Anyway, that's enough for now.